Hey guys, Zane Hyde here from the Nexus Schoolhouse, bringing you another over-explained video. Today, we're going to be looking at the laning phase of Main Tank Deathwing. Main Tank Deathwing is a very viable option as long as you're not into percentage damage of any form, because that completely negates the tankiness of his 40 armor. Main Tank Leo hard counters you, and you generally want to have a Leoric on your team and then pick this hero at the very end of the draft. Otherwise, he ticks all the boxes that a tank requires. He has a fantastic booty-shaking dance. He has the W, which you can utilize in order to disrupt rotations and get vision. He has the Q, so he has a lot of threat in the form of Wicked Inferno into Conflagration at 13-16, so he has fantastic scaling. He's got the Skyfall, so he can heal up a little bit quicker while in the air. And he's got the Bellowing Roar so that he can peel with the Fear in order to get heroes off of your backline. D.Va's going to get a lot of damage reduction there, and we're basically going to waste our energy bar. I definitely think it could have been used more proactively on the wave, which would have been a lot better. And our Blizzard is also slightly misplaced, so we end up not clearing this wave as fast as we could have. Oh well, not the end of the world. We're going to rotate right on up here, and I'm going to give you guys my camera perspective so you can kind of see where I'm thinking when I move my camera around. Right here, we're just clearing out our waves, doing the standard tomb rotation from mid to top, mid to top. And I'm basically looking for vision on the enemy team whenever I can get it. Malfurion, unfortunately, only has to heal himself and two other heroes. He doesn't have to worry about us. We've kind of got our own healing off of that level 1 Molten Blood, which does heal you for 0.6% of your max HP per second when you are at 3 armor plates or more. Able to find some good DPS onto Sukuna, which I'm wondering if it's a Jujutsu Kaisen reference, in which case this is a very cultured individual. If you have not watched Jujutsu Kaisen, you should. It's great. We're going to stun right here in case the Diablo goes on our Jaina, but he ends up not doing that. And we're just going to rotate right on out to our mid lane, pick up that next wave, and get ourselves ahead on this rotation. The main thing I wanted to stress this game, rather than the late game where we're looking for conflagrations, is the early game and how to get ahead in the early game on Main Tank Deathwing. It's kind of what you want to be looking for as a tank player. What you want to be looking for on your rotations are dismounts with the W first, clearing the wave with your Q second, and if your team ever gets engaged on, you want to be able to save them with your E, which is a fantastic wide area stun that is very hard to dodge. It affects just so much of the screen at any given time that the opponents just really can't do anything about it. And that's a fantastic thing to have in CC on your main tank. Deathwing can function as a main tank pretty efficiently with any setup, but this is really the ideal, right? You have 2 wave clear heroes, one of which is Tychus, so I'm not facing against a Tychus because, again, percentage damage destroys this hero. And secondly, I'm going to have the Jaina slows as well as the Malfurion route to set up for my Qs in the mid to late game. This is the one area where Deathwing really requires assistance from his team. It's one of the reasons he loves being paired with Leoric, because Leoric has Entomb. He needs CC to set up his Q and to ensure that it's going off for a long duration and dealing loads and loads of damage. If he's not able to get that, he's a very sad boy. You can self-set up with a smart positioning of your... And there I use the W to dismount the Diablo and get vision on their rotation, because it was very important that I prevented him from just walking on up to our backline. Then here I'm just going to W in the brush again to see the enemy if they're rotating in from that direction, but they opt to go safe. A-okay with me, no problems if you guys want to go safe. And then right here, we're just going to use our Q to try to peel the enemy team. We do have a D.Va very far into the backline. She is going to get saved at the very last second by that portal. Very fortunate to be alive. And then unfortunately, they're going to take a 4-man portal onto me, and I'm going to get exploded by the Ravens from Medivh. You can see I also took some damage from this self-destruct, which is unfortunate, and they got 2 overkill off an Arcane Rift, but would have been able to kill me anyway with just a couple auto attacks. At this point in time, we are looking to respawn, and Deathwing's respawn mechanic is relatively unique. You get to fly into the air and then go anywhere on the map in a couple of seconds. It is a pseudo-global rather than a true global. You're not ever going to use this to rotate. You're just going to use this to get back to the fight quicker when you die, and to potentially cross the entire map in a pinch if you are soaking a faraway lane. But you will not use that in a very offensive capacity. You will use it in a very delayed rotation. It's not to be confused with, for example, a Dahaka Z or a Falstad Z or an Illidan Hunt or anything of that nature. It's a very slow global. So just use it when your team has plenty of time to play ahead. We do get the slow there onto the Gul'dan, and then I'm just going to R directly onto him to guarantee this kill happens. We do find the damage finish with the Tychus just auto-attacking them down, and then we managed to find a follow-up kill on the enemy Lucio. Great. And at level 20, the go-to talent for this build, by the way, is the Stood in the Fire. It allows you to cast Cataclysm and have a 40% slow while they're in the Cataclysm itself, which is basically an Earthquake. 40% slow that's permanent is practically an Earthquake from Thrall. It obviously isn't going to provide you guys with the shields, but it's a nice thing to have because it allows you to set up for your Q, it allows you to set up for your team, it allows you to tank very, very well. The overall build we're going is Molten Blood at 1, into Infernus at 4, Skyfall at 7. This can be varied with Death Drop or Firestorm depending on the map and situation. I do believe all three of these talents are quite viable. Level 10, we always go Bellowing Roar because we need that fear to peel for our team. At 13, always Wicked Inferno to give you more energy so that you can cast your abilities more. 16, Conflagration to give you a lot of brute force in your queue. And at level 20, opt for Stood in the Fire. I was experimenting with Arrival of a God this game in particular, and I found out pretty much exactly what I expected. It's not very effective unless you have a teammate to set up CC for you, in which case it's insanely effective because it deals around 1400 burst damage. Otherwise, we're mostly just going to be looking to play the rotation game on this tomb. I'm not going to show you guys the late game because it does get fairly predictable as to what happens, right? They land the root and then I follow up with the Q and the things just kind of die. And we push their waves so hard in that we just kind of very, very slowly win a game of attrition and macro with the enemy team. Instead, I want to focus on the early game and focus on what you should be doing in order to get yourselves ahead and keep yourselves ahead, especially in the first couple of minutes of the game. As you can see, we're already nearing our level 10s when the opponents are only nearing level 9s. And for the most part, we're doing a pretty good job of staying ahead in the EXP. I do manage to just barely escape with my life here. I believe... Nope, I get killed by the D.Va level 4. I forgot that I died there because, honestly, the respawn timer is pretty much the same as having to go into the air and then sit there for quite a bit of time, waiting for your AoE, or sorry, in the air healing to kick in. At this point in time, we have died. 5 seconds until we're able to take off into the air. We have picked up our 10s earlier. Do manage to find a good kill onto the Medivh, good kill onto the Gul'dan. And here we're just able to get our gems turned in. The enemy team just kind of lets us, which is very fortunate for us. A bit not fortunate for them. You can use Skyfall to set up waves, just kind of while you're waiting to land. We're obviously going to chuck a Q here on the rest of the enemy wave in order to fry that right on down. Just kind of casually take half the D.Va's bar. They do break my first armor plate, and I unfortunately get hit by a lot of ticks of the Gul'dan's E, so I am going to have to tap here. Gul'dan E is a fantastic counter to you just because you're such a wide hitbox, literally the largest in the game. And with that big hitbox, it's very easy to hit you with all 3 stacks of corruption. Once again, I'm going to get hit by 2 there and take a butt ton of damage. Unfortunately, I do stun this hero inside the blizzard, and then I opt to launch my Q at the waves so as to finish it off. I step forward to pick up the gems and the globe, which is the tank's duty always on this map. You want your tankiest hero grabbing the gems, grabbing the globe for you, because you want that hero to be able to step into the enemy team, pick up the gems aggressively, and back on out without a worry. And because Deathwing is unstoppable, he doesn't have to worry much about rotational ganks as long as he's not taking a lot of damage because of it. You can pretty much do whatever you want on Deathwing and be pretty much safe for the most part. And right there, I eat a butt ton of damage because I landed directly in front of the enemy team. I do miss my E, but it ends up not mattering as much because they pop the high five anyway. I try to peel for my Malfurion with a Q, but unfortunately, I'm just not able to find the angle correctly. My E was on CD because I used it earlier to try to hit the D.Va. This was an incorrect usage of my button. I should have saved it for later. Right here, we're able to find a good frying amount of damage off of our Q. Our poor Malfurion is upset in the chat that they popped 5 ultimates just to kill him. It's always a bit of an odd feeling when you get focused down that hard. And then we go for the top lane clear, and we're just going to look to casually turn in our gems, get our first push of the game going, and look to get loads and loads of value. Right here was the odd rotation I mentioned a little bit earlier. The Medivh kind of just drops vision on me and lets me go bottom, I believe, to get the turn in for free. And I was kind of confused by that. I don't know why they weren't guarding the turn-ins when they have a freaking Medivh who can do that. But they opted not to. I do get a very good stun here to peel for my Malfurion. And then the Soul Shield pretty much denies all of my damage right there. I was debating flying on in with my R here, but I didn't want to int so close to the objective. And I wasn't confident my team would be able to follow up comfortably. We are going to pick up our 13 right here, which is a fantastic power spike for us. And we are just going to gently fast forward through the Web Weaver phase. The value we get, you can see here, we're controlling the rotation with the W, we're getting vision, then we're breathing our fire on the minion wave so as to clear that right on out. We are going to walk into the enemy team here, cast our fear in order to peel as best as we can. That's going to space the Diablo out, and then they're going to pop a bomb, so I'm going to run downwards. I'm going to fly on out. I'm going to use it as a disengage rather than an engage, just to keep myself alive. And then we're just going to take up onto the air in order to get our armor plates back. After I scream at this wave, of course. It's important to keep your armor plates healthy whenever possible, and to take chip damage, not burst damage. That's really the key to staying tanky on a Deathwing. You want to be at that 40 armor pretty much always, and the second you're not, you want to take off into the air and rectify that. You have fantastic siege with your Q. It hits the minion wave, it hits the building, it deals loads and loads of sustained damage, especially post 13 when you have that energy return. And for the most part, you're just a very, very versatile tank. You have a lot of threat, a lot of damage, you're unstoppable always, you can control rotations, you can do everything a tank needs to do. Just remember, do not allow the enemy team to get percent damage when you opt for this playstyle. Do not let them have main tank Leoric. Do not let them have Tychus. Do not let them have Malthael, because those heroes will just take your 40 armor off instantly and completely devalue all of your defensive capacity, which comes from your armor, and the slow sustain you get from the level 1 talent, which, as you can see, is healing me on up very gently right on here. And right here we can see we're just controlling the enemy rotation, right? We're forcing them to go the long way around rather than the short way. And we are going to turn in a butt ton of gems here in order to find our next turn in. We are a half a level up on the enemy team, which is good. I am just body blocking the Diablo here and slowing him as best as I can. I should have stunned him more preemptively in order to deny the APOC, but unfortunately I don't quite find it. My Malfurion is getting run at, so I'm going to peel for him with a Q. We do find good peel, and we are able to keep our Malfurion alive, which we weren't quite able to do earlier. We're going to find an isolated Medivh, and we're just gonna kind of fry him. Not sure why he opted to step back in with a W. Unfortunately, my Tychus pops Odin while he's in the way of danger from the Gul'dan and ends up going down. Unfortunate, but we are, again, I believe, able to find a turn-in just a moment here. My memory is very hazy, as this game was 19 hours ago, and I've been streaming for 20. Artanis is feared fantastically right into the bomb there. That was a fantastic horrify. He managed to survive for a bit, but unfortunately ends up going down. I go into the air here, drop a bunch of my E's in order to heal on up. The enemy Diablo ends up inting his bar, which is good for us. And then they're just going to be able to mosey on out of here with that move speed from the Lucio. And again, I believe... I'm not quite sure which team gets a turn in here. I was trying to tag our bruisers before the enemy team found the turn in, but unfortunately they were just a little bit too fast for me. Now we're going to fast forward on through the last few stages of this game. It does drag on for quite a bit while we macro them to death in the late game. We are just going to opt to scream in that general direction to deny the opponent's space. And you can see the conflagration going off there, effectively acting as a chain bomb. And we are going to just fly on forward here, try to finish off that guy. He does end up getting finished by the wave, and then I fear the Diablo. My Jaina with a quad kill, really a triple kill. And fantastic, we're able to clear off the enemy web weavers, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and we've made it to the conflagration power spike. We've made it to where we're strong, and we've pretty much gotten to the late game. Again, this game does continue on for another 10 minutes, but we're going to call it there because the main focus of this video was on tanking as Deathwing in the early game, where you need to be strong and you need to be confident. Learn your limitations as Deathwing as best you can. Don't be afraid to be a little bit crazy, a little bit zany. It's okay for you to int while you're learning a hero, and then dial it back as you come to understand your limitations a little bit better. That's going to be it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Overexplained. I would like to remind you once again, we do offer coaching at the Patreon, which is in the description below. If you guys would like to receive that coaching at a discounted rate while the prices are still low, definitely look to check that out. Other than that, folks, that's going to be it from me. GG's, take care, and we'll see you in the Nexus.